They say life slows down after 50, but what if this is just the beginning? Welcome to Starting Over Again with Cassandra. This is a channel that proves it's never too late to rewrite your story. Whether you're restarting your career, you're chasing a long lost dream, or just trying to find you again, this is your space to get inspired, stay motivated, and take action. Starting over at 50 doesn't mean we're going backwards. It means finally moving forward on your terms. Hit subscribe and let's take that first step together. Welcome to this first episode of Starting Over again, particularly after 50. Starting over is never easy. I've started over many times in my life. I had to start over in 2016 when my mom passed away Christmas morning. I had to start over again in 2016 when my job decided to close itself and gave us 60 days to find a new job and place to stay, where I had to end up moving to a state I had never lived in. I had to move all alone. I had to find a car, a place to stay, and make my way in the world. And that was difficult. But having to start again last year at 55 after a tornado tore up my town and did $30 million of damage was particularly hard. But I learned so many things through that time. I wanted to share them with you. If you find yourself over 50 and you had to begin again, this place is for you. I've learned some tips and tricks that will help you get through those hard, frustrating days. And I've learned to do what I call the big three steps: what to do, feel, and say to get myself restarted and refocused. And I wanted to share them with you. After the tornado passed and opened the door and saw all the destruction, knowing I would have to begin, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to process. The lights were out for 8 days, and it is so hot in the South, so dark without air conditioning and lights. And so, as I lay there sweating at 55, I had to ask myself, Cassandra, what are we going to do? What are we going to do when the lights came on? And when those lights came on, and I walked around to see the devastation, my heart was broken. I didn't know what to do. I felt paralyzed. I didn't know how to talk to family and friends. They didn't know what to say to me. I worked from home and the internet was out for 6 weeks. Initially, my job was really understanding and told me, take your time. But after time, it was time for me to get back to work. But I didn't know how to get back to work. Mentally, I was devastated. I was heartbroken. I actually thought I was going to die. And as I hid in the bathroom and hearing a tornado, when they say it sounds like a freight train, it sounded like there was a freight train in the yard, and I actually thought I was going to die. After that, I had to fight, I guess, survivor's guilt, and I was asking God, life in the universe, why am I still here? Why did you leave me here? Why did you leave me here to figure things out? Why did you leave me here to start again at 55 all alone? because I moved here and I don't have anybody. It's just me. And of course, you have family around the country, but it's not the same. Once the phone is hung up, it's just you in the world. So I was trying to figure out, how am I going to get myself back together? And when it was time for me to start back working, I tried, but I was so devastated. I was mentally broken. I was used to working. I was used to giving. I was used to taking care of family and friends. I was known for my work ethic and working hard. I was known for being positive, having a positive attitude. I was known as an encourager. But what do you do when you are devastated and you look around and your whole world is turned upside down, literally? I had to throw out all of my food in the freezer. I cried like a baby. It took me years to build up my freezer to the place where I had a variety of meat, and I had just spent several $100s on a variety of meat I was going to cook and prepare. When I had to throw out that freezer full of meat, it just felt like a metaphor for my life. Things I had built up over time, I took a great deal of pride in, I had to throw away. And so here I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with me. I found that a stranger was in my bed, and that stranger was me. Waking up every day, I didn't know how I was going to feel. I didn't know if I was going to be angry or sad. And when a few people that checked on me, I put a smile on my face. I pretended like everything was okay because I didn't want them to worry. I didn't want them to be stressed out. I didn't want them to feel helpless and hopeless. But at that age, I don't know. When I was 50, I enjoyed turning 50 and 51 and 52 and 53 and 54. But it was something about going through a devastating event at 55. It just seemed so overwhelming. And instead of being an asset, my age to me in my head became a detriment. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't feel like fighting a good fight. I didn't feel like taking the high road. I didn't feel like having to go through the steps of rebuilding a life I didn't ask to be upended the way that it was. I find myself afraid and terrified every day. I dreaded morning coming because I knew fear and doubt was going to set in. Like, Cassandra, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for a job? Because I ended up having to let my job go. I had to bet on myself. I had to choose me and my mental well being. When my boss said, "Hey, we need you to start," and I couldn't, my heart was just not in it. I needed time and space to grieve. And so I chose me, and I had to wait a month and use my 401 and had to let that stretch. And let me tell you, there's something terrifying about knowing once that's over with, what are you going to do at your age? Who is going to want to hire you? So I had to fight with that. Who's going to want you? Who cares about your voice? Who cares about what you have to say? You're too old. And the dream that you have about starting a YouTube channel, who's going to care about that? Who cares? What good is your voice going to do? Your black voice, your female voice. What good can you do? So every morning I fought that. And I asked God, where are you? Life universe, where are you? And they were silent. Why? Because they were waiting for me to get some fight. They were waiting for me to understand that, Cassandra, your life is not over. Your age is not a detriment. In fact, your age is your asset. What can you do with all the gifts and skills that you have garnered over all of these decades that can help you pull yourself out of this morass now? And so, slowly but surely, I began to fight back. I began to ask myself, Cassandra, what is it that you really want to do? What are you going to do with this time? You can continue to wallow. You can go back to the old life that you knew, that old life that was a comfort zone that you can do in your sleep. But I knew, beloved, I should have left that job 5 years before I left it. And in a way, that tornado saved my life. And I'm going to be doing some episodes on that, why it may sound strange. That tornado forced me to stop what I was doing and to assess my life and then to ask myself, do you want to continue on this path? Because at that point, even though I loved my job, I was very good at it. The only reason why I was there was for the paycheck. And I always said I didn't want to be at a job because of the paycheck, but I was afraid if I moved, I wouldn't be able to find another job. So I just kept making excuse after excuse, and I stayed long past when I should have moved on. And I was forced to ask myself, Cassandra, are you going to move forward or are you going to keep on looking back? I chose to move forward. And one of the skill sets that I have is in my job, we've had to learn how to do five, six processes at one time and break things down into manageable steps. So I found a manageable 3-step process that worked for me, which I called what to do, what to feel, and what to say when starting over or when going through something. And so I'm going to share that 3-step processes with you. And in this episode, what to do, what to feel, what to say when you have to start over. That first step, doing, is crucial. It doesn't matter what you do, just as long as you do something. And you may be surprised, but just getting out of bed, it will help your spirit. Just starting a coffee pot, make a cup of coffee, taking out the trash, doing a load of laundry, clearing out the dishes. There's just something about taking action that will help you not to feel paralyzed. That is what was so difficult for me. I felt helpless and paralyzed until I just started to do just a few things. Another thing that you can do is that you can take a piece of paper and write down what you would like to do. Are you doing the dream that you have always wanted to? If not, why not? You don't have to wait until a devastating illness come or lose your job or tornado has to come to visit. You can start over anytime you want to. Don't let your age be a detriment. And if you're not 50, if you're a young person, don't let your you stop you. Don't let how much money you have in a bank stop you. Don't let where you live stop you. Don't let your gender stop you. Don't let what people have said to you and about you stop you. You can start over again and again as many times as you need to. And step two, what to feel, I call that the processing stage. When that tornado hit, I was so angry. I was so angry. I used to love to go out on the balcony and look at the big trees, just enjoy the breeze. I like to sit in my car and enjoy the breeze, but the tornado just tore up hundreds of trees, and the trees that were left were just straggling and broken, and it felt like I was moved without my consent. And so what I did, I called pulling the strings. I just went to the edge of those feelings, this process, and I allowed myself to be angry. I allowed myself to be sad. I allowed myself to be brokenhearted. I had so many people who tried to give me platitudes, and they would tell me, be thankful that everything is back to normal because the lights were on. They didn't understand that the lights were still off in my spirit. The lights were still off in my heart. The lights were still off in my mind. And I had to fight with myself and tell myself the lights will come back on, Cassandra, one of these days. It didn't feel like it, but I allowed myself to feel what I feel. And that's what you're going to need to do, beloved, as you go through your period. If you have a period of grieving, that's okay. Let yourself grieve as long as you need to. Your family and friends or those around you, they'll give you a few days, but after a while, people are ready to move on with their lives. Let them move on, but give yourself permission to take as much time as you can. And once you've done something, once you've processed the need to have to start again, the third thing is what to say. What to say to yourself, what to say to family, friends, and loved ones. The first thing that you need to say to yourself is, I got this. I'm okay. But even if you're not, say this: it's okay to not be okay until you're okay again. I've had to say that to myself many times. After I lost my job, I got so angry with myself and I fussed at myself and I said, Cassandra, why couldn't you suck it up? Why couldn't you just make yourself work again? Why would you put yourself in a position where you have no paycheck because mentally you weren't strong enough like you used to? Why couldn't you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just make yourself work? And here is where I want to say this is so crucial and telling yourself the truth. You need to give yourself time to rest, to process, and to heal. So tell yourself it's okay that you're hurt. It's okay that you're sad. It's okay that you don't know everything to do. You don't need to know all the steps right now. You don't have to know it all right now. So be good to yourself as you start again. Again, there's 24 hours in the day. You can start over as many times as you need to. Let that be okay. Give yourself permission to start again. Tell yourself, I can, I will, I have to. But right now, I'm tired. It's okay to admit that you're tired. I want you to get some support. Reach out for some support. If you have family, friend, talk to them and let them know where you're at. They may not understand. They may never understand. They'll do the best that they can, but they really can't know how tough this loss is. And the last thing that I want to say to you as you tell yourself, your pain is just as important as anybody else's. Stop dismissing your pain and your hurt. Stop saying, well, mine is not as bad as this one or that one. Your hurt is just as important. Again, we have to do, feel, and say to move on. Just do just a little bit, just to let yourself feel what you need to, and tell yourself everything is going to be okay. The one thing I miss hearing my mom say when I would call her, even when I was grown, she would say, Cassandra, everything is going to be all right. You just keep doing the best that you can. I miss your mom. I'm going to keep doing everything that I can. We're going to be all right. And in the meantime, enjoy your life, embrace your life. This is the only life that we have. It is so worth living, even when it's hard. Be good to yourself today. Let your voice be heard. Let your light shine. Let other people see you. You're not some old, washed up hag. You're not just some old, washed up guy who is ready to be put out on the junkie. We got many, 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 many years to do things. Remember Sarah in the Bible? She had a baby after she's 90 years old. And there's many things we can teach these young folk out there. And there's thousands and thousands of dreams that we have yet to fulfill. I thank you so much for stopping by, starting again with Cassandra. You could have been anywhere, but you hung out with me. I hope you come again. Let me know what you think in the comment section. What are you starting over again about? What do you need to be encouraged about? What would you like to be talking about here? I also have my blog, Why Can I Be Loud, at WordPress.com, where I encourage people on the daily. I have that in the description. Stop by there. Also, my Heart Connections